Interesting.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the WAN Show. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Thank you, Luke. That's really helpful. Lots of fantastic topics, starting, of course, with YouTube hiking the price of YouTube Premium literally a day after I go to bat talking about how, well, the service is really expensive to run and there's a lot of challenges and data storage. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Also, we're going to be talking about AMD being kind of boned right now. The situation is not looking good. They've apparently cut production of their Ryzen 7000 chips. What else we got lined up today, Luke?
LTT in other languages. We actually have videos that we can show you on the actual channel. We can show you how it works, and we can show you the dubs. I have not listened to them. I will be first time reacting to this. We'll see how it goes. Also,
they are on Español.
On Español. I honestly wasn't entirely sure that I could nail the pronunciation of that, and I hadn't heard you say it yet, so I didn't want to do it. But
I'm pretty sure I didn't nail it, Luke.
Is that the only one? Are we doing more languages beyond that?
We're starting with Spanish,
Starting with Spanish. Very cool. Also, G4 TV is done again.
It's done. It's again. Not
maybe
again.
Maybe not forever. Who knows?
But certainly for now.
But the most recent one is done. Comcast pulled the plug. We'll talk about that later. Intro? Do I run the intro? I guess so.
I certainly can't.
Intro auto. Boom. Got him.
Yeah, it worked. And Linus, you're clipping a little bit on your side. Could you move the phone away or speak quieter? I don't think we can do that.
I don't think I can do either of those things.
Okay. We'll just deal with
it. Nice.
Vessi, MSI, and 45 drives. Thank you very much. I think this is going to be an interesting show because I realized during the intro that Linus does not have a swear button.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to control myself today. It's also going to be an interesting show because Luke disclosed to me before we started that he's on painkillers.
I'm on painkillers. Let's go. I don't know if you guys can notice, but this side of my face is a little swollen. We'll maybe talk about that later, even though it's like kind of gross and not that interesting. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube rate hikes.
It's an injury, it's an injury to the one side of Luke's mouth. You know what I'm saying? Just to the one side. had some blunt force trauma.
And Linus isn't here. I wonder what's going on.
He's cheating.
Oh, ow, that actually hurt. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I have to not react to things too hard.
Let's jump right into YouTube hiking the price of premium plans in several countries. That's right. Literally the day after I uploaded the video that I teased on WAN Show last week, where I was defending YouTube charging for 4K video, so putting it behind a premium paywall, YouTube turned around and increased the price of my premium family plan from 18 Canadian dollars to 23 Canadian dollars. 23 Canadian dollars.
It's a big jump.
That is a substantial increase. What does that work out to? Like a 30% hike or something like that?
Yeah, I thought it was like 25.
And we are not the only ones to have our prices increased. The US and the UK went from $17.99 of their currency to $22.99 and $19.99 respectively. And other regions are getting similar hikes. In Argentina, where inflation has reached 95%, the jump is particularly aggressive. Individual plans went from 78 US cents to $2.53 US. So that's like, wow, over tripling. And then family plans went from $1.17 to $4.55 again. Tripling. That is brutal.
That's crazy.
Additionally, now this is something that I feel like we can really dig our teeth into. YouTube is hiking the price of family plans for users who subscribe through Apple's App Store from $22.99 to $29.99. Taking that route has always been more expensive, but YouTube is now explicitly disclosing this in their announcement email. So for the people who are not familiar with why YouTube Premium would cost more, Luke, what's the deal with that?
The App Store takes a monstrous cut. This is true on Android and iOS platforms. I'm not trying to just go after them, but these app stores take huge cuts. I think generally in the 30% range, which is a lot just for hosting some downloads in a store.
My understanding is that you weren't allowed to charge essentially a 30% surcharge.
Different amount more, yeah.
To account for it, yeah. But like I thought that was actually against.
They've been shifting the rules on that. I don't know exactly where it stands right now because the last time that they shifted their rules, we matched exactly what their rule change was, and then our app got denied for following their rules. And then I had to have like an hour-long phone conversation about that, and then our app got approved because nothing matters apparently. So I don't know, but yeah, the line keeps moving because lawsuits and whatnot keep on happening.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm not sure, but I guess you can now, unless we're going to see a huge legal battle between them. But I'm pretty sure you can. I think you're allowed to charge a differing amount at this point.
I think that this raises some pretty interesting questions. Let's get through the price increases. So original subscribers to YouTube Red family plans who were grandfathered in at $14.99 a month are going to be subject to the new $22.99 price, but not until April 2023, with everyone else getting the new price on their next billing cycle. And I think that the conversation needs to be, why is this allowed? This is not a free or ad-supported service where, as people so helpfully pointed out when we were talking about the whole does ad block equal piracy discussion, it does not actually have any kind of explicit, contractual agreement between the platform and the user. I think that there's certainly a terms of service, and there's conversations to be had around what the implied agreement is for the use of the platform, but this is a paid agreement. How is it exactly that lawmakers have not sort of identified this as something that absolutely needs to be stopped? This single party renegotiation of the deal. Like, do you feel a little bit like Lando at this point, Lando Calrissian?
I enjoy the reference. I don't know. It's weird because like with inflation, we've seen really intense inflation lately. They mentioned here, but in Argentina, where inflation has reached 95%, it hasn't been that bad in like Canada or the States, but it's still been really, really bad. If you have inflationary periods, if you sign an agreement with some company, okay, I'm going to pay, what was the original YouTube Red one? $14.99, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to pay $14.99. Yeah. Well, in 10 years, that $14.99 doesn't have the same power that it had when you originally signed that agreement. So maybe it could be a situation where like rate increases have to be within a reasonable margin or something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we
it's
saw
also
that
not
during
until next billing cycle, so people could cancel.
We saw that in the early days of the pandemic, where they mandated that rent could not be increased, certainly not over a certain amount. I know there are places where rent increases need to be within a certain percentage, or they are considered to be illegal. But I guess from my point of view, it's just it's not what I agreed to. I don't see why that should be. I don't see why that should be permitted for a service. I mean, you're right. Obviously, if you don't like it, you can just not pay for it. But they're not even putting up a facade.
Do you think the timing feels suspicious?
Trying to do the right thing.
The timing feels very suspicious to me. Not based on your video, to be clear. What I'm talking about is the changes coming to Chrome.
Oh.
When I first read this, I was like, oh yeah, so they're going to like completely screw over ad blockers, and right before they do that, they're going to do a massive rate hike to YouTube Premium. This might just be me like finding things where they don't exist, but the timing's not exactly lined up, but it's pretty close. If I remember correctly, the I don't remember the exact verbiage for the change, but what they're doing to Chrome that is going to impact ad blockers and probably some other things, but very notably ad blockers, is going to happen, I believe, in January, which at this point is a few months away. It's not that far off.
Yeah, that's pretty soon.
Yeah.
There's some really good questions about this coming in from Floatplane chat. So first of all, Cass54 points out that they should at the very least, not be able to charge people the new rate until they click a button that says they're okay with it. And they could absolutely cancel your service. But to me, like, I remember when we migrated Floatplane from the LTT forum to its own site, to floatplane.com. And I remember it being extremely complicated to change the terms of a recurring service agreement. Man, this word keeps escaping me. When you unilaterally, there we go, that's the word I'm looking for, to just unilaterally change the terms of the agreement. And we ended up having to have people manually go through and sign up again for the new site. We lost a lot of users in that.
Interestingly enough, I'll throw some context in there. That is completely correct. That was very difficult. One of the main reasons why that was difficult is because we were actually changing business entities. So when it was through the forum, it was under Linus Media Group. When it was through the Floatplane website, it was under Floatplane. So we were changing business entities. There's a bunch of issues there because we were transferring payment agreements from one company to another. And I think that might be possible, but it was way beyond us at the time. If it is even possible at all, I don't know. So we had to have people manually move themselves over. The other interesting tidbit is we can absolutely change people's agreements and increase or decrease prices at will. The reason why it's never come up is we're obviously not going to do that because that's incredibly stupid.
Speak for yourself.
You'll just get wrecked as a company if you do that. At least that's been our opinion on it. So obviously we don't do that. But there is ways that you can set up where you can totally change people's the monthly value. I love the idea of needing to press a button though, because something that we know this at Floatplane. And anybody who has ever done Twitch streaming at a professional level knows this as well. When you have paid subscriptions, you will have, and this, I'm saying we know this at Floatplane. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just something that we have knowledge of because if we didn't, we would just be stupid.
Yeah.
But if you have paid subscriptions at all, there are going to be people that forget about them. Maybe the $5 or the $3 or the $10 isn't a ton to them. Maybe they aren't really on top of their credit card statements, whatever else. It's even worse when you sign up for things on yearly plans, because when people go to review their credit card statements, they don't see it coming in all the time.
They get a 1 in 12 chance to catch it.
Yes. So it's totally a thing. So if you don't have, and a lot of people will also see a charge coming in, and they're like, oh, that's Amazon or YouTube or Google or Walmart or whatever. Like, I recognize what this is, and this is a payment that I pay every month. Okay, that's fine. So they're not necessarily paying too much attention to what the value is, but they're like, oh yeah, I subscribe to YouTube Premium. That's the YouTube Premium payment. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Especially people that have currency conversions. So
that makes sense.
Changing the price. Sure, they send an email. When's the last time you read a marketing email from YouTube?
I mean, I did read this email because it was like, your price is going up. I tweeted about it because I felt so, I don't know.
You know how I learned about this?
The irony of the timing.
You know how I learned about this? Because I filter it out. This email never hit my inbox on my personal email because it's a marketing email. I just filter it out. I don't care. I learned about this because your tweet.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.
Because I didn't see the email. And I'm a YouTube Premium person. So this sucks. Like, I'm not stoked.
Get ready to pay another $5 or $6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Black Spectre over in Floatplane chat asks, I'm still keeping my $3 plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am also on the 4K plan, but it's always good knowing I can fall back to the $3 plan if I need to. Wait, you have 2 active subscriptions to Floatplane so that you can have the 4K tier and you can also maintain your grandfathered OG tier status in case you need it. So you're actually paying $13 a month to retain the ability to pay $3 a month if you need it in the future.
They would need 2 accounts. Are you
I
sure
think
that's
you
how
need a
that's working?
financial advisor, because that is not great planning, actually. But hey, thank you for the $13 a month.
Someone in chat said, I never got an email and my payment is $10. Am I special? I don't know how your payment is $10. I'm not sure what currency you're paying in. But I haven't heard of YouTube
region.
Premium ever being $10. Yeah, so you must be in a different region. Maybe your region isn't affected by this. I don't know.
This is hilarious. I wonder how many of our Floatplane subscribers are duplicates. Now I want the team to go look into that. Like, how many of these accounts are coming from the same IP all the time and stuff?
Oh,
I mean, like, have identical names and use the same credit cards or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a fair amount of digging.
Yeah, I don't.
You guys should just not pay us twice. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you want. I'm not gonna like refuse to take it, but you should just buy more stuff on LTT Store. That's smarter, because then you get like shirts and stuff. Nicholas M asks, what I want to know is if this $5 increase is going to benefit the creators that I watch. And that is one silver lining. That is one part of the argument that I made in the 4K should be paid video, that at the very least, what YouTube is doing through their really like unprecedented, the way that YouTube shares revenue is unlike any other platform. The degree of transparency and the percentage that they share are way more generous than anyone else. And so there's a reason that creators are constantly trying to figure out how to grow on YouTube. Whatever platform people come from, the really successful online creators ultimately end up on YouTube. And the reason for that is because of the way that they share revenue. And yes, the answer is yes. This would be subject to the same revenue sharing agreement that regular premium is, that AdSense is. And it's one of the ways that Google attracts talent to the platform so effectively, in a way that just nobody else has figured out how to match. And I shouldn't say has figured out how to match. I think everyone else has figured out how to match it. You have to just like actually pay money to creators. But companies like ByteDance don't want to do it, so they just don't. And I think that's one of the reasons that YouTube has stood the test of time, while other platforms like Vine and like I ultimately believe TikTok come and go and come and go and come and go, while YouTube remains. And you've got a lot of people talking about, like, especially in the comments on that video, you know, angrily and justifiably angry, right? Like, I get it. But angrily talking about how this is the last straw, YouTube taking away 4K this is going to be the last straw. I'm going for an alternative. And it's like, guys, there is no alternative, because at the end of the day, content is king. That is always going to be true. And so it's tough, right?
There's some people in chat saying, oh, sorry, go for it.
No, go for it.
There's some people in chat saying that they have YouTube Premium at $7.99. Apparently, that's a student plan thing. There's other people in chat saying that they have YouTube Premium at $10, which is apparently if you had Google Play Music and like maybe something else, you got grandfathered multiple times, something. I don't know what's going to happen to all of those, but in general, it's a big rate hike. Do you know? So it is what the creators take from premium views a percentage of the premium price?
Correct, it is.
Okay,
yes. So the whole premium dollars go into a big fat bucket. And then I think I tweeted out the percentage share incorrectly, actually. I believe it's 55% to the creators, 45% to the platform. And that 45% is not all profit for the platform. That includes payment processing fees, which, as Luke knows, yeah, he's nodding, can be quite substantial.
They run their own,
and that,
which I'm sure helps.
They do run their own, which is cheaper, but they're still going to be paying to, Amex or Visa or whatever other credit card processors that they support or whatever else.
And there's cost of making and maintaining your own payment processor.
And yes, and the cost of actually hosting the data and delivering it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good deal for creators, which is why the creator ecosystem has just blossomed into this vibrant community that they have now. And they have so much first movers momentum on this. I just don't see realistically how anyone is going to catch them.
Yeah, I've always kind of seen YouTube that way. We had I don't know if it was last week, but we were talking about like what resolutions would you still watch YouTube at? And it was like basically whatever, because where else am I going to go for this? And it's like it gets to the point where it's like if the resolution goes so low, you just don't watch videos. Because where else are you going to go? Twitch VOD does not cover what YouTube does at all. Dailymotion does not cover what YouTube does at all. Like no one else is in that game.
Like Vimeo, get real.
Not a
Vimeo,
chance.
if anything, has made it even more clear in the last year that they are not interested in chasing that ad-supported free content mega site.
It's really hard.
Audience. It's super hard. Lumberwand over in YouTube chat, I know there's a first time for everything, says, so if I have premium and ad block, does that money still get properly attributed to the creators that I watch? Well, my question is, why do you have ad block if you have premium?
Yeah.
But also, yes, your premium watch time, as long as you're signed in, gets divvied up according to watch time, your premium money gets divvied up to the creators you watch according to watch time ratios. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, people have asked a bunch of times, like, why don't you make free ad-supported tiers on Floatplane? I'm like, because it's an insane amount of work. Like, it's a massive amount of work to broker those advertising deals, or you're just jumping on something like YouTube AdSense anyways.
Yeah.
And then, like,
giving Google a cut.
Then you can't be competitive with them regardless. So, like, what is the value add here? Like, it's tough. It's a hard space to be in. Okay.
This kind of leads into one of our discussion questions, which is, why does YouTube seem so unconcerned about the potential for moves like this to push users towards ad blockers? So they're not concerned, I don't think, about users just leaving the site altogether. I think maybe they've gotten a little complacent, but also rightfully so. But as for ad blockers, I mean, Luke, you have the technical capacity to block ads on YouTube, but you subscribe to YouTube Premium, and you seem to have telegraphed earlier in the show that you intend to pay the new $22.99 price for Premium, as opposed to setting up I don't even know how to completely block YouTube ads. Like, I know on mobile it's a little challenging. On TV it's very challenging. On mobile
TV,
you
I've
could
never
just use
looked
mobile
into.
like Brave or whatever with an ad blocker. But on TV, I believe it's quite challenging. And you won't get your 4K anyway if that was your goal on mobile if you use an alternate browser.
Well, there are other ways on mobile, and you can still get your 4K. But I have premium, so I don't care, and I don't want to talk about it. But on TV, I have no idea because I've never been interested in watching YouTube on TV, to be completely honest. So I haven't looked into it myself. On mobile, it's definitely possible. On computer, it's definitely possible. I did mention earlier in I believe it's January, Manifest V3 is coming. That's gonna mess with ad blockers. Maybe we'll see if that'll push that down. In regards to ad blocking, I do think this will cause a little bit of that. I do question how many people would go from paying for it to ad blocking it because of this change. I'm sure it will be some, but will it offset the increased amount that they'll make from charging way, way more? Like, this is a massive increase.
You know what? I want to play devil's advocate here. Counterpoint. I actually think the odds of someone who was paying before turning to ad blocking, assuming they, for whatever reason, couldn't keep paying their premium subscription. If this was one cappuccino too far,
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So they
Which it could be.
unsubscribe.
It's a lot.
I disagree. I think that they would be more likely than a typical user because they are probably an enthusiast user of the platform, one that was willing to pay, so one that probably consumes a lot, and B, have probably grown very accustomed to not seeing ads on YouTube. So I would actually imagine these people digging pretty hard for an alternative. I mean, I'm going to reiterate my privateering stance, and that's that using the platform in a way that does not compensate creators for their work is detrimental to the platform that you appear to be enjoying and may claim to like the content on. And so, make of that what you will and make your decision accordingly. But that doesn't change that people are going to be, I think, surprised, especially if they've been on premium for a while, by how many flippin' ads are on YouTube now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even know. Anytime
it's a lot.
Anytime I open it in the wrong browser, I run away immediately because I hate seeing the ads. For me, it's a big multi-tiered thing where I want to support other creators on YouTube because I watch a bunch of YouTube, and I know they get better cuts when I'm watching as a premium subscriber. So I think that's cool. I like that part of it. I like that there's no ads, and I don't feel bad about it. I understand that there is actually a huge amount of cost. So just blocking all the ads on YouTube feels a little wonky when I feel quite strongly about the whole malvertising thing. I don't think I need to go over that for like the 20th time on WAN Show. But I don't necessarily think that malvertising on YouTube is actually a big problem. Maybe it is, but I've never heard of it being a problem. I mostly am interested in stopping those types of problems outside on other parts of the internet. But yeah, supporting a platform that I use a ton, that I know costs a lot to run, and being able to support other creators that I actually want to support through doing that, knowing that they make more money off of it, all of those things together makes it pretty reasonable for me.
Instead of just presenting problems, then why don't we talk solutions? I mean, I would never advise someone to circumvent the terms of service of a website. I'm sorry, excuse me. Sorry, I thought, excuse me. I would never say something like that. But if it really is a step too far, I mean, one of the things that struck me about this price increase is that even though it's like a 30% increase or 25% increase or whatever, it's still $3.33 US per member of my family. A family plan is $23 a month or whatever Canadian, and I have 5 people using it. Yeah. And I'm kind of sitting here going, you know what? It's kind of funny how common it is, right, for people to share a Netflix account. And yet I almost never see anyone talking about sharing a YouTube Premium account. And I understand it's less convenient to share a YouTube Premium account just because there's so many other Google services that you might use that you might actually want to contribute to informing your recommendations and things like that. Like, it's such a personalized service. But I mean,
we used to talk about it.
If the choice is to not, that's true. We used to talk about it because you shamelessly were piggybacking off of my family plan. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, no, you're not sharing.
How can you do this to me?
I'm sorry, first child Luke. Actually, now that I think about it, no, I was being dumb before. You don't actually have to share the login anyway.
Nope.
You get up to 5 accounts on the single family plan. So I wouldn't talk about, circumventing terms of service. That would never be a thing that I would talk about. I think that it's worth, considering if maybe there could be ways that are not as detrimental to creators for people to help to offset some of the increase in cost.
Yeah, for sure. I think there are, and just like you can talk about exploits and bugs in systems without encouraging people to do them, there are definitely ways to reduce the impact of this change, for sure. Like using Firefox in January for no specific reason, or potentially expanding your family.
Yeah, I mean, really, aren't we all family?
Yeah.
in the tech community.
Yeah. Why not?
I feel like we're just all family. And so,
Just a big happy
with that
bunch.
family, with that family spirit in mind, it really does just seem like kind of an obvious middle ground. Like I pay literally, for myself, I pay $350, right, a month for YouTube Premium. That seems sustainable forever. They could double the price, and I would still find that to be quite reasonable. And I just want to say, no matter who you are, you probably have 4 friends. And if you don't, I'm so sorry to hear that. But it could be a goal for you.
You might not have 4 friends that all want to pay for YouTube, but you might find them. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Discord server or something that sprung up, which was like to find
the amount of Feels Bad Man and Forever Alone. I mean, that's in Twitch chat though. I mean, we knew they didn't have friends because they're hanging out with like people who don't know they exist in hot tubs. So.
Oh man, all these parasocial relationships.
I know, right?
If you have 4 non-parasocial friends,
you can't attack them for parasocial relationships.
Wait, why not?
Because we're not going to have any viewers, No, I'm kidding.
Oh, whatever. They'll keep watching.
Yeah, that's the thing about parasocial relationships is you can make fun of them for it and they'll still do it anyway.
Yeah, solved.
What's up, Barrington?
Whoa.
No, JK, love you, Barrington. He's one of our most OG followers.
Yeah.
All of Floatplane chat feels extremely called out. Oh no!
Amazing.
Right.
Is it 6 people? You and 5 others? No, I think it's
no, 5 total, I believe.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because otherwise I have no excuse for not having Luke on our family plan anymore.
Yeah.
Oh man, bullying everyone. This has gone extremely well this last little bit. Why don't we move on to our next topic here?
Should we do AMD?
Yeah, let's do AMD because they about to get done.
Yeah, after launching with a fairly strong showing with Ryzen 7000, AMD looked like they might be doing pretty okay. But Intel was looming with 13th gen Raptor-like CPUs, and they may have cut the celebration short. Apparently, it's been a little rough. Launched yesterday, the new CPUs posted impressive numbers with the Core 9 13900K. These names are getting really long.
Apparently it is Manager plus 5, by the way. So yeah, 6 people, even cheaper than I thought. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Bring me back in. But yeah, apparently they're topping the charts over AMD's more expensive 16-core Ryzen 9 7950X in all but the most heavily multi-threaded workloads, which does make sense.
Can we talk about that for a moment? I feel like much ado gets made of multi-threaded performance, but for the average consumer,
what most people are doing,
outside of like maybe four threads, 4 to 8 threads, is anything you do actually heavily multi-threaded? Like, to be clear,
it's pretty rare.
We're not going to stop talking about multi-threaded performance in reviews because it has been and continues to be a very forward-looking way of measuring the performance of a CPU, because theoretically in the future, workloads will come. But for the average consumer who doesn't spend all day, doing that CPU video encoding for peak quality or, rendering out complex scenes in Blender. I mean, show of hands, like Luke, want to throw up a poll in the Floatplane chat? How many of you actually use Blender? Like, other than to dink around with it once a quarter, how important is multi-threaded performance? Oh, this is a great comment in Twitch chat. It was bound to happen eventually. Kelton says E-cores are Cinebench enhancers. Yeah. Oh. Let's get this poll going. Do you actually use Blender on a regular basis? 20%. We've got 80, 82, 83% saying no. We've got a couple percent saying yes, and then we've also got like 15% liars in there.
I also, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I really wonder how many of the yeses are people just being like, AMD is good, okay? Come on.
I regret my Threadripper every single day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how's that upgrade path going for you, Dan?
I yearn for death. I spent so much money on that computer, so much money.
No.
And it's multi-thread is sad.
This is one of the reasons why future proofing is something that we always kind of scoff at a little bit.
Oh, the F word.
Yeah, because when people talk about like, oh, I want a like really multi-thread capable CPU because the future, it's not really happening. It's kind of hard to dev software like that. So people just don't do it.
VT Arcellus in Twitch chat says every last furry is destined to learn Blender for VR. There's literally dozens of us. Yes, that is true. I didn't think about that.
I guess that makes sense.
I wanted to build myself a model for Beat Saber streaming, and I realized that even though there are kind of pre-done, no, not a furry one necessarily, but even though there are pre-done like starting points and there are guides, you have to really get into the weeds with modeling software to like draw it and rig it up. And I'm like, this is far beyond my skills. I would be far better off just paying someone to do this. Then I looked into how much it costs and I was like, Ready Player Now or whatever it's called, that service that just like you pick some generic attributes and assets and it just charts out a model for you. That'll do for me. It's totally free.
Man, so back when I was in high school, I've talked about my high school computers teacher a few times, and I mentioned a few shows back that he created this like 3D game programming course for us. We had to do some basic 3D modeling in that class, and we used this program called Milkshape. So it sounds like milkshake, but it's Milkshape.
Yeah.
And I just Googled it to see if it was still a thing, and I don't think so. But yeah, I used to do some of that stuff a long time ago. It's kind of cool. Anyways.
Hey, yeah, we should continue that. Also, people are asking if merch messages are not a thing today. I don't actually have the dashboard open. Are they a thing?
Yeah, they are. I've only gotten 8.
Oh. Maybe it's because we didn't talk about them. Guys, so if you want to send a message into the show, the way to do it is through merch messages, not Twitch bits, not super chats, nothing like that. You want to send a merch message. All you got to do is head over to LTTStore.com, and in the checkout, you're going to see a field where you can enter your merch message, and it'll either be replied to by Dan, it'll show up on the bottom of the screen if you just want to do like a shout out or something like that. Or Luke and I might address your comment or your question live towards the end of the show. The LTTStore.com deal of the week is the JerryRigKnife is back in stock. And if you pick up a 1200 by 700 desk pad and add a knife to your cart, the knife is free. Also, oh, this is sick. Luke, bring them up. We have shoelaces now. There they are. They come with this adorable little power supply shaped box that has the shoelaces coming out like cables. And the reason that these are notable is if you have or want to get the RGB hoodie, these are actually the same laces. So you can get that drip going on, or however it is that you use that word, by having your shoelaces match your hoodie drawstring, which I thought was pretty cool.
I don't think you guys can see this, but there's a fan on this side of the power supply. Then there's even like the grill, the power switch, and the plug on the back. It's kind of cool. This is pretty sweet.
I'm not going to claim there's anything special about the shoelaces other than that they match the hoodie drawstring.
They've got some like white stitching pattern on them.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, they feel nice and sturdy. Wonder if we can do a close-up with a producer cam. Let's see.
So the 1200 by 700 desk pad, then add a knife, and the knife is free. It's a sick deal. That is a $15 US value, and you can use it to send in a merch message.
Do you have the box over there that you can show?
We also just generally have the knives in stock. So if you don't need a desk pad, you can always just like pick up a JerryRig Everything knife. I think there's probably a conversation to be had around, should we just carry more influencer merch? Like, is there any reason not to just have other people's merch on our store?
I don't think so. Why not?
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue the AMD discussion.
Especially if there's something that isn't just like a shirt.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Sure to have a bunch of shirts. Yeah, continued AMD discussion. So all of this AMD crushing power does come at a currently trendy cost, which is kind of surprising to me that this is currently trendy, but the power consumption is monstrous. Apparently our testing saw a peak of 350 watts, but other outlets measured power draw up to 400 watts and beyond with the limiters removed and with throttling on 360 millimeter AIO coolers. Woo!
Wow. So you'd basically need chilled water.
Dang. Yeah, we're bringing
Chilled
it back. We're bringing the chiller back.
We're going sub-ambient, boys.
Yeah.
Sub-ambient.
And Anthony has a note saying, this means it's possible to approach a kilowatt of sustained draw for a personal home computer. I added that little bit in. Between CPU and GPU alone with a 4090 test rig. Wow! That's crazy. Especially when like so many other things are trending in the other direction and going down in power draw. We have the top end of performance on personal computers just cranking power draw, as far as I can tell, pretty much as hard as they can.
You know what? We've actually got a video coming where we run an RTX 4090 and a Ryzen 9 7900X on a 550 watt power supply, and we play Cyberpunk sustained on a 550 watt power supply. So, and this is giving up like less than 5% performance.
Wow.
One of the cool things about the new Ryzen 7000 series, we haven't tested it with 13th gen yet. It's possible others have. I haven't looked yet. But with Ryzen 7000 and with the RTX 4090 is that they actually undervolt extremely well. And you can achieve very surprising...
wasn't undervolting. I thought it was lowering the power target.
Well, it's a combination. So you lower your power target until you find a point where it starts to behave kind of weird, and then you set your turbo target to kind of whatever megahertz you're running at that point. Then you adjust your voltage curve. Anyway, we show it in the video.
Okay.
It's a process though. But basically, we managed to get it running stably on a 550 watt power supply without actually giving up a ton of performance. To be clear, that wasn't with me running 2 power viruses at once. That was with me running an actual game. But in real world usage, I think it would probably be stable, which isn't to say you should ever do that.
No.
I'm just saying that you can lower the power consumptions of these new components. It just might take a little bit of work. But the thing is that we've reached the point where the work might be worth it, man. Like, it used to be that we would put all this work into tuning for more performance, right, with overclocking. But now, with energy prices going the way they are, particularly in Europe, right, it could actually save you hundreds of dollars over the lifespan of this computer to undervolt it.
Yeah. Someone said, let me see if I can find it again. With someone in I'm a flanker in Flowplane chat says, with current UK pricing for electric, that's 34p an hour for gaming.
Wow.
That's gonna add up.
Yeah.
It's gonna add up a lot, actually. That's
I mean, man, that's a question. That's like what it cost at the arcade, you know, when we were young, right? Like if you had to put a coin, right? If you had to put a quarter in the machine every hour, would you game as much as you do? Or is it just the fact that you're not really thinking about it because it's coming in on a monthly billing cycle?
If I had to put a quarter in every hour, I probably wouldn't. I think I would genuinely play less games.
Right? Like that's a pretty high friction transaction, actually.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I still believe that gaming remains one of the best bang for the buck entertainment mediums, right? Like there's, especially with free to play games that you really do not have to put money into, games like League of Legends, for example. There's nothing that comes even close. You look at it compared to like a movie, going to the movies or going paintballing or whatever else it is. Like gaming is an unbelievable bang for the buck, assuming you actually do it enough to offset the upfront cost. But man, that starts to eat into it a little bit. 25 cents every hour. My goodness. And it's a lot more than that. That's closer to 50 cents. So if you had to pop a quarter into your desk every half hour, I do not see you doing that, sir.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Sometimes, sure, but not I would probably reduce. Yeah. To
That's wild.
I want to figure out exactly how much it is. So that's cents, right? Pence? Is it?
Yeah.
So
pence.
0.334. Yeah, you're right. 52 cents. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's actually like a ton.
Yeah. My solar panels are starting to look like a pretty smart investment.
Yeah. I remember when solar panels up here were not. Obviously, they've gotten a lot more. They've gotten a lot more efficient since then.
They're still stupid here, sir. Because our power is still cheap. I didn't want to rub it in for everybody.
Falling water, but the whole falling water might not keep happening thing is coming.
Yeah, so we did a little work field trip to Banff a number of years ago. Luke didn't come. He didn't technically work for Linus Media Group at that time. Long story. Anyway, the point is, we went to see this glacier, and they had all these markings on the ground for where the glacier used to be, where it is now, and where it used to be, and where it's going to be, and so just tracking this receding giant glacier. And they were like, yeah, so in 30 to 50 years, this thing will be gone. And guess what that means for hydroelectric power? And I was like, I could live to see the end of cheap energy in Western Canada, which is sort of mind blowing. What are we going to do?
I don't
burn
think
fossil fuels?
Talked about it. Yeah.
And
because everyone that I know just kind of shrugs at power that lives here, to be clear, because we've always been like, it's falling water, it's fine. And I mean, it is for now. Now.
A lot of people asking why I'm in 2 dimensions. Budget cuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I have to afford my new, more expensive YouTube Premium somehow.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. We got to spread the burden out, But yeah.
Yeah. So these new AMD chips. The biggest advantage the new chips have over AMD is one that AMD once held, and it's the platform. Unlike Ryzen 7000, 13th gen core can run on last gen motherboards with a simple BIOS update, and they can run with DDR4 memory, which continues to be much less expensive than DDR5. In fact, fast DDR4 didn't harm performance much, if at all, versus fast DDR5. Speaking of our testing, we've got another sort of conversation topic here, and it's what the heck is going on with all the errors in the videos lately? And I've talked to the team about this, and from my point of view, I didn't really want to say much about it because my goal would not be to throw any particular person or team under the bus, because it's a little more complicated than that. All I really wanted to say publicly was, we owe you guys nothing but the best. We are striving to deliver nothing but the most accurate coverage. But the reality of it is that we are going through a bit of a learning period right now. One of the comments that has come up quite a bit is, why is it that publications with teams literally a 10th or a 20th the size of our company are able to have their videos go up more accurately? And the answer is that actually adding more cooks to the kitchen does not necessarily make it a smoother process. And we're learning a lot. Every single time It's a different breakdown, if that helps you guys at all to understand what's happening on our side. And every single time we are patching those holes so we won't break down there again. And it's just going to take us a little while to get the hang of this between the writing team and labs and the editing team. There are a lot of moving parts, and we are absolutely going to do our best to get to the point where you guys don't feel like you need to read reviews from multiple outlets, but we will still absolutely recommend that you always look at coverage from multiple outlets. That's something I've always said. It's something that I always will say.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know there was a problem with the video.
We should probably talk sponsors.
Yeah. Good call.
The show is brought to you by Vessi Footwear. Vessi Footwear is known for being water resistant and lightweight, easy to pack, and breathable. You don't need to worry about the weather anymore with Vessi Footwear. Their dual climate knit material keeps your feet warm during winter and cool during summer. They're super easy to slip on and off and comfortable for traveling. Actually, the lightweightness for traveling is excellent. And they fit almost any occasion. Some of us are wearing them now. I am barefoot right now, but I could very well be wearing them if I wasn't barefoot. And they're 100% vegan. Get $25 off each pair with offer code WANSHOW at Vessi.com/WANSHOW. The show is also brought to you by MSI. Their Optics MPG 321UR-QD is a 4K IPS monitor that's designed for gaming and content creation. It's a quantum dot display that's engineered to enhance color accuracy, color saturation, and contrast ratio. And it sports a 144 hertz refresh rate, 1 millisecond rated response time, and utilizes NVIDIA G-Sync for faster and smoother frames. It works well for both PC and console gaming, and MSI's AI software Gaming Intelligence allows the monitor to be customized automatically to fit your gaming needs. To learn more about MSI's monitors, follow the link in the description. Finally, the show is brought to you by 45 Drives. 45 Drives is an open source, open platform, and fully supported storage solution. Don't spend your entire budget on storage infrastructure. Their offerings won't just store your data, but can help save you money and headaches. And honestly, I think a solution like 45 Drives for company data storage is, let's just say their timing is really good, because there's so much of the show today was about how unilateral renegotiations of cloud service contracts are absolutely a thing. And if you own your own metal, nobody can increase the price or take it away from you. With 45 Drives, you can scale one drive at a time or add servers into your system as needed. And they offer a by-the-minute approach to technical support, no rounding up to the nearest hour if you only need 37 minutes of assistance. 45 Drives is here to help. To learn more about their custom storage solutions, check out the link in the video description. Why don't we go ahead and chat about another big topic here? And that is, where's the one that I wanted to? Yes, LTT en Español.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find this here. So Luke, should we play it for them now, or should we play it for them a little bit later?
I feel like we should
maybe a little later
play it for them and then talk about it, because it's cool. And
sure.
it's not like it's happening now. It has happened. It's live, And if
Let's do it.
If people don't want to watch it through the stream, I'm going to play it through the stream. So if you want to watch it through the stream, you can just do that. But you can also bring it up on your own end. Like it's live and it functions now. Something that I didn't know until I sat down and we went over this is that you don't have to make a new channel for it anymore. So this is just on the actual main channel. This is a really cool
share your
feature
screen so we can
from
see what
YouTube.
you're doing. It's so cool.
That's not what I meant to press. There we go.
I've had a lot of people commenting too, whether it's on the...
Is that you don't have to make a new channel for it anymore. So this is just on the actual main channel. This is a really cool feature
so we can see
technical difficulties.
Great.
So cool.
We'll get there.
Anyways,
I think it's Facebook.
Let's turn off that screen sharing right away. I think it's causing echo.
Whether it's on the... Is that... All right. Well, I can walk you through the visual experience without an actual visible indicator. So you guys will all know what I'm talking about. If you're on YouTube, in the bottom right-hand corner of a video, there's the settings cogwheel. We all know it. We all love it. You click on it. There's the audio track section now. So instead of just like playback speed, annotations, quality, the things you're used to have. Got it.
We should... it's worth mentioning. A lot of people during the 4K premium controversy commented criticizing, YouTube for not innovating. Like, what is there to even do? And there, again, I don't want to bootlick a $1 trillion corporation or whatever, but like
this is awesome,
scaling the way YouTube scales is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And building new features at scale is really hard. And they absolutely do build new features. And this one is one of the coolest ones I've seen in a very, very long time. Okay, Luke is showing it to us now. So down in the cog, you can have multiple audio tracks on a video now. And it appears to be something that you can actually do, that you can actually add in post, like after the fact, to existing uploads. So what we've done with this particular video is using Google Aloud. We have created a transcript, a Spanish translation transcript of the videos. And then we have used, I forget exactly what tool we're using to turn that into like an AI voice. And then we've done our own conversion from our own voices to an AI voice to kind of fill in the gaps in the translation. So the idea is not to do a perfect job of localization. Actually, here, let's play it first.
Yeah.
Play it first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
I haven't heard this, so let's go.
Me has faltado el respeto. Me has herido. Pero no dejaré que me derrotes. Hace 2 años, AMD se llevó la corona del rendimiento en juegos con Ryzen 5000. Pero eso fue hace 2 años. Y desde entonces, Intel ha cambiado su posición de saco de boxeo a boxeador. Pero AMD nos prometió grandes ganancias hoy, llegando incluso a decir que su nivel de entrada Ryzen 5 7600X superará al Core i9 12900K de Intel en juegos por solo la mitad del precio. Entonces, ¿qué pasa con el título de este video? Bueno, pongámoslo de esta manera. Ahora que tengo los datos, y en nuestro equipo de labs, está claro que si bien el giro de AMD en la historia aquí es técnicamente cierto, el mejor tipo de verdad, el panorama general es mucho más confuso, como esta transición a nuestros consor, Ugreen. Su nuevo cargador Nexo de 140 watts proporciona tiempo de cargar rápidos
let's
para
pause it
todos
for now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of people going either way on this. Gross doesn't sound human, or wow, it's surprisingly good. Almost nothing in between, which is really interesting to me. And I want to clarify that the point of Aloud, this is Google's translation, quote unquote, startup, is to increase accessibility. It's not about perfection. But 80% of the world does not speak English, while the majority of video content online is in English. So bilingual users might be likely to notice issues with pacing, tone, and minor translation errors because they can compare against the native English version. But what Google has found is that non-English speakers are more often just impressed that they can access the content at all. So if we think about it from an accessibility standpoint, as opposed to a perfection standpoint, Ferna182 in Floatplane chat says, native Spanish speaker, sounds like a dubbed show on TV, a few mistakes here and there, but overall way better than last time. That's good. That was our that was our goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much across the board, people are saying not the most accurate, but it's okay. And yes, I know, if we hired like a translation company and a bunch of voice actors, Mr. Beast style, that might work. But okay, you got to think about the scale of what Mr. Beast is doing. If he's getting 30 to 50 million views on an English video, and he can assume maybe 25% as much on an alternate language channel, if we only got 25% as many views on 1 to 2 million views, all of a sudden that would pretty much eat up whatever money we could have made on that video. Like, it doesn't make good business sense. But if it's something that we can do relatively easily, right? Like, if it's something that we can do using AI and then just doing spot corrections, ooh, that's the way for us to tackle it, because we upload so much. I mean, he uploads one video every like 2 weeks these days, right? We're uploading daily, so the scale of the cost is enormous. I mean, we've run into issues with our Chinese translation where it's not even a matter of not being willing to pay for it. We just upload so friggin' much that it's hard to find enough people who want to work on it.
Yeah. I mean, being not able to understand it at all, because I can't speak a single word of Spanish. I think the tech is really cool. Our implementation completely regardless. Having it so that you can switch audio tracks like that and having it support languages for the use case of that feature is sweet. And I think we should all be pretty happy that that exists on YouTube because of, like what Linus is saying, the accessibility stuff. Maybe it could be better. Maybe it could be worse. I just think it's a really cool feature, and I'm stoked. I like it when sites like YouTube innovate, because there's so much that can be done when you have an audience that is like as close to the entire planet as you could basically get. So yeah, I think it's really cool, and I like that we're using it because why not?
And from like, not everything is going to get translated, but this could be a great tool for people looking to learn English as well, being able to listen to it in Spanish and then listen to it in English. I know that's how a lot of people...
other way around too, if people want to learn Spanish.
Well, I wouldn't learn Spanish from an AI
That's
translation.
fair.
It's the only reason I didn't bring that up.
Yeah, never mind.
No.
Yeah, you're gonna walk around sounding like a bad translation all the
time. Which is actually, oh man, that actually would make for like a good comedy short or something like that.
So someone who learned from bad translations how to speak a language. That'd be pretty funny. Thank you.
And just like I could even see it being a show like back in the 80s or 90s, like a Mr. Bean style. Like you have a character whose entire sort of shtick is that they learned, the language from poor translations, so they just are constantly using idioms that make no sense. And that could be interesting. Digibrat, we already have a translation service in China, and we have almost 1 million subscribers on Bilibili. But thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, already a thing.
Yeah, I wonder if I get another gold play button. I got such a kick out of getting a Chinese knockoff of a silver.
You got the silver
YouTube
one,
play
right?
button. Yeah. I'm getting close to 1 million.
I saw the silver one years ago.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a gold play button on Bilibili, but I'd be super, super down.
Is Spanish the only other option at the moment, or is Spanish just the one you went with for the test?
Spanish is the one that probably has the greatest overlap of people who want to watch LTT and who don't speak English. So like we could have gone for German, for example. But from my time in Germany, I would say that was probably going to be a big fat waste of time, because practically everyone I met there spoke better English than half the people I went to high school with. Like their English schooling is outstanding.
It's always interesting when you talk to someone and they're like, "Oh, my English is really bad," and it's like, "Oh, it's fine. And then you actually start having conversations with them, and you start kind of wondering, like, is their English might be better than mine?
Exactly. Apparently, Monty Python did a bit with a dodgy translation book, like way back in the day. So, there you go.
Yeah,
it's been done. It's been done. People are talking about Indian. One of the benefits of Spanish for us is we happen to have someone on staff who speaks native Spanish, so that helps a lot. One of the challenges with Spanish, though, is that there are a lot of regionalisms that make Spanish localization really tricky. Oh, wait. She doesn't speak Spanish? Oh. Whoa, hold on. Ed's messaging me in real time here. Hindi is apparently coming soon. Do we have someone on staff who speaks Hindi who can check that? Well, I don't know. All right. There you go. I'm finding out.
That's sweet.
I'm finding out new things in real time here. Anyway, so it's really tricky because for Spanish, different countries and even regions have their own vocabulary, accents, and idioms that can make it really, really challenging to translate. But I think it's going to be one of those things where you just have to kind of settle on something, and it's at least better than nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Should we talk about G4?
Oh, I mean, I guess so. As long as we don't say anything mean, because it's rude to speak ill of the dead.
Oof.
I gotta say this before we start. So rest in peace, Zombie G4 TV. Those of you who were super stoked on the return of G4, maybe what I'd like to hear is why. Because as someone who didn't really have any access to traditional media at the time that G4 was taking off, like we didn't have a cable TV subscription at that time. Like I didn't watch any TV at that time. So I don't have any nostalgia for G4, but it seems like there's a contingent of people that were like super miss G4 and loved it. And I'd love to hear from you guys, like why? Yeah, people are saying like Tech TV was the bomb. I know Chris Perillo had his break on like G4 Tech TV. I think Tech TV was like a sub brand of G4 or something like that. Yeah, lots of people never even heard of it.
OGG4 was better. I didn't hear about it until years later because I ended up watching Adam Sessler on a game review channel that I don't remember the name of anymore. That I believe like all the hosts left and then it was not cool anymore. But I used to like that game review channel.
G4 bought out Tech TV.
But I had never, that's the only reason why I knew that G4 existed was people would comment about him being on it back in the day on that show.
People talking about screensavers, Attack of the Show. So basically they just had a lot of like really good hosts back in the day, it sounds like.
A bunch of people like a lot of people calling out X-Play.
I don't even know what X-Play
I don't know what that is. Yeah. Last year I didn't have cable. So we're very ignorant in all this. So yeah, when it came back, I didn't have the nostalgia rush. So I didn't go to start watching it because I never watched it in the first place. I got nothing against it. It sucks that it went down. I've heard a lot of different various commentary on this about how they think that that space is now pretty well covered by a lot of smaller, independent, like 1 to 2 bit outfits here and there.
More agile.
Yeah. Like I know one that I check out all the time is Game Ranks. That's a relatively small team that have just been killing it for years. So trying to pull together the
Game
force.
Explain is another really small one that I know.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Trying to bring together this massive group, bunch of big names, bunch of fantastic hosts. I have heard actually very, very good things about a lot of the people that worked on G4 TV. So, and I know that there are already people trying to poach them, both the people that worked behind the scenes and on camera. So I suspect that the people that worked there are going to do well because apparently
Blue Purple Kid and Twitch says they had good hosts even today and it still got shut down. Comcast sucks. But I mean, I'd like to talk a little bit more about that later. Let's talk more about that later. But yeah, Luke, carry on.
Yeah, so like I have heard that the behind the scenes team was just absolutely fantastic. I've heard that the hosts were all really good. But they just weren't really getting the viewership that they needed to sustain the cost of having this apparently, again, I don't know, but I have heard this apparently massive studio and very extensive staff because it's expensive. It's going to be expensive. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's hard. It is hard to make quality content on an online budget. And traditional media, like G4's last run ended in 2013. Back in 2013, it was a lot easier to make money through traditional TV advertising and cable subscriptions. Those numbers have only fallen since then. And when you account for, inflation, your production costs have not gone down. So you've got these lines that are trending in the opposite directions that would be helpful for making a production sustainable. And so as much as you might say Comcast sucks, and as much as I might not necessarily disagree with you, I think the thing that sucks about them was that they ever thought this was going to work in the first place. This was just clearly a stupid idea.
There's a bunch of people in chat, like one person, Sydney Broke It, says Comcast did very little marketing. They had an abysmal business and marketing plan. They could not figure out how to make things people wanted to watch. And that's, maybe the production is fantastic and the hosting is fantastic, but if you
what marketing do we do?
I didn't know.
Marketing is dead.
Sure, but I didn't know where to watch G4. Were they on YouTube? I don't think so.
Why would you care? Like if you didn't find it, then you won't find it. Like if it was really good, we rely on virality these days. Algorithmically, if it was suitable for a given viewer, it would get served to them.
Yeah, so I'm looking at G4 TV's YouTube channel, and they're getting like 3,000 or 4,000 views a video. That's just not going to do it for the staff that they had. I don't know if everything actually hit the YouTube channel. A lot of places use YouTube channel as like partial archive side business thing. But yeah, the budget was extremely high, and when budgets are extremely high, you're going to have to perform at a level that can pay for the budget. And it seems like that wasn't happening. So that's it. Yeah. Sucks. But I do think that a lot of these people are going to land on their feet.
Mike Kloplip says the guy whose entire business is supported by marketing. Yes, but not marketing the show. The content speaks for itself. We don't market LinusTechTips. We don't buy what would you even do?
A lot of marketing for something like
websites.
A lot of marketing for something like a YouTube channel is through recommended stuff, right? And is the platform that you're on. I don't know if they were fully on YouTube, but if they were fully on YouTube, then getting 3,000 to 4,000 views with the team that they had is just not going to support the math just doesn't work, right?
I don't know. Razrael in Twitch chat says, I'm sure you guys know better than I, but I assume it failed because of corporate bloat and idiotic budgeting costs on infrastructure that isn't needed for what they were producing. But that's the thing. Apparently it was really good. It's just that
I've heard a lot of really good things. Yeah.
It does cost a lot. It legitimately costs a lot to approach a production like that in a traditional media manner and to make it good. And so that's why I think it was dumb that they even tried. Not because, the hosts weren't great or the showrunners weren't great or whatever else, but because it was pretty clear to me that there just wasn't enough money in it to sustain something like that as a startup. Like it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, either way, condolences for the team there. I know I've said it like 14 times, but I think they're going to be okay. I know of 2 different outfits that are currently putting out like, hey, if you worked there, hit us up because we're hiring people like you. So I think they'll be all right.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
I hope that's true for all of them. Obviously, you want people to be able to find gainful employ.
Apparently, they attack their followers a lot. I don't know how much that would or wouldn't necessarily. Hey, we don't like to admit that.
Fair enough.
Oh man.
Apparently, talent were expected to play a role in managing public relations, and little action would be taken by the company in times of controversy. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I hope that I heard it was good from some people that I trust, and I hope that the people that were doing a good job in order to make it good land on their feet, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. RIP G4 again.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
It's especially troubling just how sudden the shutdown was. Employees were informed via email that the LA facility would be closed and all streams postponed, but no word that the network was actually shutting it down. Many employees only found out via a memo published on Twitter. That's just gross.
Yeah, I'm really not enjoying this like modern people getting fired through figuring it out through hearing it on the news thing. I'm sure, to be fair, that was a thing in the past as well, but I've been hearing a few of those lately. So yeah.
There's a whole bunch of employees said there was a ton of mismanagement and a lack of direction in an interview with the Washington Post. Apparently they wasted a bunch of funding on guest stars and cut staff, and people said they were underpaid. Yeah, all right. Discussion question. LTT video game channel when? It feels like a matter of time, doesn't it?
I've wanted to do one for a long time, but it's hard. there isn't a ton of money in it. Gaming is something that the people that are doing well on YouTube in gaming are huge, and they're doing well because their volume is just enormous. And a lot of them have honestly pivoted slightly out of gaming so that they can get their advertising dollars from segments that aren't just gaming. They can use their audience to their audience that is interested in not just the fact that they talk about games, but they're interested in the person. So I'm not saying they're using their audience in a negative way, but they're making forms of content that aren't just gaming content, because maybe they don't want to just make gaming content, and also they get to put that video in a different advertising segment than just gaming, which is often a really good thing for money. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
It's such a saturated space.
It's also the fans are vicious.
That's true.
Just to put that out there. And I've been one of them. There was I don't know if you guys remember this, but do I bring this up? Yeah, let's go for it. Cuphead.
Okay.
Cuphead. Do you remember the launch of Cuphead? I think we even talked about this on WAN Show back in the day. There was a game reviewer who couldn't make it through the tutorial.
Oh no.
It was actually hilarious, and a lot of reviews coming out about games that are hard, or like let's say Cuphead. The Cuphead one was like pretty bad. Watching the person's playthrough where they spend whatever it is, like 25 minutes trying to get through the tutorial that should take people like 30 seconds was pretty intense. But watching reviewers rate difficult games really poorly because they couldn't accomplish it is not fun. It's not good. But I feel like the gaming audience is more ready to go after the reviewer in those situations than a lot of other audiences, which is fine and fair. But when the money's low and the audience is brutal, it makes the business decision.
And the competition is high.
And the competition is very high because there's a lot of game reviewers and there's a lot of good game reviewers as well. We named 2 of them on the show. It's not like there's a hole there that we need to fill. So like what could we do differently in that space? There's a bunch of people that do really long form, like video essay type content on games that is just amazing. Like the amount of research that goes into it is incredible, and they make these works of art. There's a lot of people that make shorter form, more review punchy type of stuff that is also really good. Like, it doesn't need us to join it. I would enjoy making gaming content. Definitely doesn't need us in that space. So it's a difficult.
I'd be happy to
business
talk
situation.
about Beat Saber map packs.
Yeah, but like
other than that, it's like, what would I even contribute?
and honestly, like, that's cool. How many views is that going to get? How do we make a good business call out of Linus talking about map packs on Beat Saber? I think it would probably be a thing where it's just like a passion project. But then you're you're paying people's wages for a passion project, because it's going to need to get edited. And then if we make a mistake over there, the people that are angry about it are going to cleave all of the other companies and groups that we have, which is pretty extensive at this point. So it's tough. It's tough.
Someone on Twitch chat talking about that Untitled Goose Game stream that you and I did, saying it was funny to watch. Like, yeah, it was. But from like a work standpoint, that was the least productive thing that either Luke or I could have been doing.
Yeah.
Like what were we making? Like $3 an hour to play Untitled Goose Game?
I have no idea.
The opportunity cost of that is enormous.
Yeah.
Enormous.
Yeah.
And, we've got people on Twitch also pointing out that you don't have to do reviews. You can do niche content. Yeah, but niche content, it's right in the name. How do you make money on it?
And there's people that can and be very successful and make really good money, but it's often 1 to 2-bit outfits. We're big.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing is you can make money as an individual, but we're not an individual anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, anything we do has to make more than just the person working on it, because there are other teams that support those people. If you're just an individual, fine. But if you have to also pay your share of the overhead from our accounting department and logistics department, and to be clear, it's not fair to call accounting overhead, but they don't make money, they count it, right? And what they do is super important, keeping us compliant with various tax regulations and things like that. We can't operate without them, but it means that we can't just take every dollar that comes in and go, oh, well, that covers the salary of the people who work on this show. It's just more complicated.
And like the stuff...
Galactic asks, what's the rationale behind Carpool Critics? The rationale there is that they really wanted to do a movie podcast. And I said, okay, give it a shot and we'll see how it goes. And they really, really like doing it still, I guess, because otherwise they don't have to. Yeah. I mean, they're just movies. They're just movies podcast.
Yeah. And like for me, the type of content that I would want to make if I made content like that would be content similar to like Ahoy or Nakey Jakey or channels like that. And there's no way I would be as good. So you should probably just watch them. And I'm just being real about that. I think Untitled Goose Game is honestly a perfect sandbox for me. That is my gaming personality in a nutshell. It really is.
I probably had the most fun that I've had gaming in the last 5 years playing Star Citizen with you and Riley for his Tech Longer episode. Just being an absolute piece of garbage the entire time. I had way more fun ruining this utterly broken game for everyone than I would have actually trying to roleplay in it.
Yeah.
We should release that as a Floatplane exclusive if Riley still has the uncut footage. Because that was hilarious. It was so fun.
I wish it made, I don't think it made it into the cut, or maybe one version of it did or something, but Linus figured out how to KO your character. I'm going to say it that way. And it was like holding backspace or something, and your character would just knock themselves out and you'd fall on the floor. We started running around the hangar, both of us just launching ourselves.
And just ragdolling in the middle of this starport.
And Morphologist, who's a fantastic creator, he's an architect who does reviews of the ships and stars, and he does other stuff as well. But he's trying to show us this game and how cool it can be. We're just run, boom.
I managed to almost PK the entire squad.
Yeah. No, I thought you did get everyone.
No, I didn't get everyone. They got the gun away from me.
No, because you crashed the ship into the planet.
Oh, well, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I do remember the gun part, though. Yeah.
Oh, I was so close to getting you all.
Yeah. I would have fun. I could have some fun making. I've had some video ideas in my head for years that I would really like to explore.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, it's the thing that kind of sucks about doing this professionally, because there's video
Yeah.
ideas that I would love to do that have been like swimming around in my head, twinkle in the eye, that are just not worth the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, what is worth,
Yeah. Like there's a few that I've wanted to do. I've even started writing scripts on a few of them over the years, and then just been like, this is way too similar to what I do for work. Releasing this on my personal channel would probably be really weird. I don't really want to do that. So then they haven't become anything, but it's still something that but then if I do it during work hours, the whole time I try to do it, I'm just going to be like, holy crap, there's other things I should be doing. So I don't know. It just doesn't really line up.
I feel the same way about a lot of stuff. I mean, even stuff that I really kind of should be doing for work, like Colton's been chasing me to do a course forever, and I should write that book and stuff like that. It's just, I know it's not the quote unquote best use of my time, but there's things that I kind of feel like would be a lot more creatively fulfilling. But just I think the big problem is I'm really just not done with LTT yet. I feel like once we get labs up and running smoothly, once we have, this great host stable, and we've got labs just churning through product in the background,
you free up more time.
Maybe the time will come. Yeah, maybe the time will come for me to spend more time fighting Dennis on Channel Super Fun or something,
Yeah, maybe you could have your own. We haven't been doing it as much lately because we're crunching pretty hard. We're behind on a bunch of things, but Flowplane, in theory, has this thing where on the last Friday of every month, except for right now, we do something where we do Creative Day, where people are supposed to work on their own, something that they find interesting that might potentially be a benefit, but we don't measure it based on benefits and stuff. It's just, could it potentially bring any value to the company? And there's been some really cool stuff that has come from that has actually been really valued. There's also been stuff that has come from that has had effectively no real major value, and that's completely fine. But it's a cool creative outlet. So if you're able to have the time to be able to do that, but one of the problems with those types of systems is being able to have that time is hard. So yeah. Conrad just pointed out.
Points out
merch messages was originally a Creative Day thing. Yeah, it was there was a suggestion from a viewer. I don't remember exactly how detailed it was, and then Conrad took it way further and turned it into merch messages. And now that's a core part of WAN Show and a notable part of the business. Really, really, really cool. There's been other stuff that has come out that has been very good from Creative Day as well. And it's something that I want to get back into. We're just behind on some stuff. But yeah, I think those things can be valuable. I think Linus having some time to just riff on things that he finds interesting would be cool. But time is very leveraged right now. But yeah, I don't know. Video game reviews. It's something we've been thinking about for years, because before we started Channel Super Fun, it was which one do we do type of conversation.
It was either video games or toys and other more different kinds of games.
Yep. Yeah.
EA, speaking of games, is shutting down servers for many old but still good games. This was first spotted by True Achievements on Monday, but Electronic Arts has confirmed it has started the process of shutting down online servers for some of their older games, which means players will no longer be able to play multiplayer online, and any achievements that require that feature will be forever unwinnable. IGN assembled a list of when and what games are getting shut down, and it is October 20th, 2022, Army of Two, the 40th Day, and Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel, as well as Dragon Age Origins, the multiplayer screenshots server. On November 9th, 2022, they're shutting down Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, and Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath, alongside Mercenaries 2 World in Flames. November 30th sees the end of Onrush, and January 19th of 2023 will see the end of Mirror's Edge, NBA Jam on Fire Edition, Gatling Gears, and Shank 2. Oh, rest in peace. I really wish there was legislation to force these guys to release community server software.
Yeah.
Why not? Because they are clearly shutting it down anyway. Very, very frustrating. Yeah, Anthony's discussion question. It's not really a question, but bring back dedicated servers, you cowards. Games with servers shut down like this should have their server software released. Freaking-lutely.
Preach it, Anthony. Yeah, I feel the same way. There's a question which is like,
and Adam says, Mirror's Edge's online content only consists of leaderboards and ghost downloads. How hard is it to keep those going?
yeah,
Unreal. Extremely frustrating. Entire generations of gaming experiences will be lost to this always online multiplayer paradigm.
it's really quite sad. I've always really, because you don't, like, maybe you don't care too much right now about some of these things closing down. Maybe you haven't thought about Mirror's Edge for a while, right? But there's a bunch of games where I don't think about them for a decade. And then one day I'll talk to a buddy about it and we'll reminisce over some good times with some game that I forgot the name of.
Like,
for
oh
a
yeah,
decade.
remember Worms Armageddon?
Yeah, and it's like, man, we should play Worms Armageddon. That's actually really fun. And with Worms Armageddon, you can. And you can have a hoot.
Just
and
fire up some Hamachi and...
Yeah, and it's really quite genuinely entertaining. It's fun to go back and play that game. Some fun parts of it can even be going, wow, this is a bad game. Just figuring out, like, okay, in the last however many years, a lot of good quality of life things have happened to gaming. Like, that part is interesting. I'm not saying that with Worms Armageddon, to be clear, but that has been something that has happened to me a couple times that I've put some rose-tinted glasses on about a certain game, gone back to play it, and then I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Usually I think I have a pretty good memory for that stuff, but not all the time. But I want to be able to do that. And I think it's crazy that it's becoming a thing that you can't. And this is something that we talked about on WAN Show when it started becoming more popular, that games were becoming always online, multiplayer experience, blah, 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 blah. And no one seemed to care.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to happen. And I think we're running into a situation where a decent amount of people don't care. And I think the reason why is it hasn't happened to a game that they care about. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, they came for the X and I didn't care because it didn't affect me. They came for the Y. I didn't care because it didn't affect me. Now they're coming for me. Who's there to care about this? I don't remember how that quote works. But like, I think that's happening. You should care. This sucks. This is bad. There's groups out there that try to preserve old gaming experiences, and I think that's
that Matrix Online MMO, like server reverse engineering project was wild.
Yeah,
I don't think it ever ultimately succeeded, but like with that kind of dedication, you have to know that if the source code was released, they would have made it happen.
Yep.
Probably would have made it better.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is sad. The question of what game are you most disappointed to see offline? I don't know. I'm just disappointed to see any of them offline, I think.
Yeah, none of these games should be offline. It should be only if nobody wants to play it anymore. But instead, we're not given the option. We're not given the choice.
Yeah. And even if no one wants to play it anymore, maybe someone wants to play it further on down the line. And to be clear, I don't think... Stop looking to the error off camera. Yeah, sorry, I'll look at Cardboard Linus a little bit more often. I don't think anyone is... I don't think that these companies should have to necessarily like host the online servers for these in perpetuity forever. They should do what I think someone else mentioned, I think Anthony or maybe Linus, they should make it so that other people can if they want. Like
Thede in Twitch chat says Battleforge is one game where the community fought hard with the EA. They actually ended up getting the source code as long as they swore never to monetize the game. And it's a similar situation with Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. Exactly. Good enough. We don't want to make money off the IP. We just want to play our freaking games.
Yes. Forged Alliance is, I think it's actually brilliant because they handed it over to community members that are doing an amazing job.
The Lord's work.
The Forged Alliance team, it's actually just wild what they've accomplished. Really, really, really impressive. And they made an agreement. You have to have a legit copy of the game to be able to play. So people still buy it because you can buy it through Steam. The original company's
actually
still making money.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Sounds good. I'm not even asking you to stop profiting off of it.
Exactly.
All I want is for there to be a route. And if people don't want to put the effort in, if you have made the path clear, if people don't want to put the effort in, that's fine. But the path needs to be clear. There needs to be a path. Just shutting it down, creating no potential path forward, that's not cool. I don't like that at all. And I would really love it if something happened. I don't know if it has to happen legally or what, but something happened so that this couldn't happen anymore because we're legitimately losing history and it's not good or cool.
Yeah.
Someone said Asheron's Call. Apparently there's multiple community servers now because you can do that. That's great. Asheron's Call is an ancient MMO. And I suspect Microsoft does not expect that they're going to be able to make money off of the original Asheron's Call. And that might be a very accurate thing. But yeah, just let the community host some stuff. And if you want to put in stuff, hey, you can't profit off of this, or they have to have official license keys for the software to be able to play on your server, whatever. Sure, whatever. Just make it possible.
Or alternate solution, you can just get rich enough to buy these companies outright, like Kanye West. Acclaimed rapper Ye is buying social media platform Parler after being banned from Instagram and Twitter for making I haven't actually seen them, but what were apparently anti-Semitic comments. Kanye West, now legally known as Ye, I actually didn't know he legally changed his name to Ye, that's a thing, has decided to take matters into his own hands by purchasing Parler. In a Tuesday press release, parent company Parlement Technologies, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, Parlement, announced it agrees to be sold to Ye. In the same release, Ye said, in a world where conservative opinions are considered to be controversial, we have to make sure we have the right to freely express ourselves. CEO George Farmer said, this deal will change the world and change the way the world thinks about free speech. Ye is making a groundbreaking move into the free speech media space and will never have to fear being removed from social media again. Parlement then doxed numerous verified users and investors by CCing instead of BCCing the announcement.
Apparently it's yay, not ye.
Is it yay?
Wait, what?
Oh, really?
Wait, so it's
that can't
yay,
be right.
But they're called Yeezys?
Well, they would be Yeezys.
They'd be Yeezys. I'm concerned we're getting trolled.
It's yay like Kanye.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yay. It's yay then. So they're Yeezys?
Oh, wait, that's not what I thought.
Kanye? Kanye West?
There is some conjecture that Ye, all right, sorry, might be getting played for a sucker by Parlement Technologies. TechDirt noted that Parler has around 50,000 daily active users and that the Twitter for people removed from Twitter, it has a limited audience that is now split between multiple social networks like Parler and Truth Social. They have apparently been trying to offload Parler for some time, but have demanded very high prices. Ye has recently garnered controversy after being spotted wearing a White Lives Matter shirt and going on tirades on social media and making false statements regarding George Floyd's death, along with other rants. There are some discussion questions here, but frankly, I don't think we're going to get into any of them. Discussion question A, what is a free speech media platform? Discussion question B, are you a yay stan or a hater? C, would you ever invest in a social media platform? Which one? And, oh, actually, D's pretty good. This is from James. Doesn't Ye know that Elon plans to pardon most Twitter bans and bring back Trump, which would leave how many people on Parler? I'm thinking a big fat less than the 50,000 they have today.
Apparently, Elon also plans to drop, like, I think it's like 2/3 of the Twitter staff or something like that.
I thought it was 3/4.
3/4, wow.
So, given actually, you know what? Hold on a second. If he actually does that and actually just like slashes the entire content moderation staff and Twitter turns into an even more toxic cesspool than it is today,
nice.
It might be a really good time to own Parler and be an alternative to it.
Yeah, really fun one. I don't. Maybe you mentioned this and I just didn't hear it, but Parliament, I don't know, whatever. The parent company doxed numerous verified users and investors by CCing them instead of BCCing the announcement.
Yeah, that's great. That is an A+. We run a tech company move right there.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this other than, hey, plants need water and float plane chat. Obama made my frogs gay too. Let's move on. Better pixels. There's a report claiming that Google is reallocating resources from software to first-party hardware. This is from Ars Technica. A report from The Information details changes Google CEO Sundar Pichai is making across the company, including cuts to divisions focused on software for non-Google devices and more resources for Google's first-party hardware divisions. Why? Well, apparently Google views Apple as more of a threat than it has previously. Samsung is apparently in decline in many established markets, and Apple is topping US market share at greater than 50% and global premium smartphone sales at 78% of the $1,000 segment. Google is worrying, too, that regulators might shut down its agreement with Apple to put Google search on iPhones. A loss of Google ads on iPhones would be apparently a major blow to Google's revenue. The effects may already be noticeable. Some Wear OS Watch users are reporting that Assistant no longer works on their device. Oh,
wow.
Genius.
What the heck?
Apparently, Samsung, OnePlus, and Xiaomi are being singled out as premium Android partners, but many other manufacturers may not get the same attention. The discussion question here is, what effect will Google abandoning other Android partners have in the long run? I would say not good ones, because one of the biggest perceived problems with Android is the lack of long-term software support. And B, is it wise for Google to switch to a more Apple-like model? If you'd asked me 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, in the Nexus days, I'd have said, yes, it's extremely wise for Google to go more vertically integrated. If you asked me today, I would say that sounds like a terrible idea. They have proven time and time again that they just can't handle it, for lack of a better way of putting that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. In my opinion, the quality level of a lot of Google's hardware was best when they didn't make it.
Yikes.
Like the Nexus devices. Sorry, I just kicked you. The Nexus devices.
Ow.
There you go. There you go. The Nexus devices were sweet. The Pixel devices almost immediately started to go
their ups and downs.
A little bit downhill. Yeah. I don't remember a Nexus device not being good, though.
I mean, they weren't perfect. They were
but they were
for
cheap.
The buck.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were really great for how cheap they were. So if you go in not expecting them to be the absolute best thing on the market, but to very likely be the best thing in that price segment, they were really good. I don't know. As a Pixel person, I have been disappointed over the last few years. More than few years, I guess. Yeah, I'm not too surprised. We've been hearing for quite a while about how Apple's market share has been increasing, and you wonder who they're taking that from. It's like, well, probably
not
Google.
Windows Phone, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's time for us to get to some merch messages. What do you think?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Hit it, Dan.
Well, I'm going to get there. Okay, this is from Garrett. Linus, Ubisoft sent out an email today that they are bringing ANNO 1800 consoles and are having people try it out. Are you going to try ANNO 1800 on a console?
Yeah, while I'm at it, I'm going to play some Warcraft 2 on PlayStation 1.
Excellent.
Technically a thing that you can do.
That sounds like a terrible
but very,
time.
very stupid.
Yeah, I feel like you should really play it on a computer.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like it would be
I'm
hard.
glad the franchise is getting this kind of support from Ubisoft. I'm glad that it's successful. It really is a very different gaming experience than almost any other quote unquote RTS.
Yeah.
It's a really cool
Definitely.
game.
Yeah.
I don't see why it needs to be on console. It already runs really well on PC. You can run it on like integrated Intel graphics. If anything, it's poorly optimized for high-end hardware, but it does really well on low-end hardware, like low details. I don't see why this needs to be on console.
I think playing high difficulty ANNO on console would be really hard.
Yes.
Just with how fast you can get things done, because a lot of times you're kind of fighting against the clock in that game.
Yeah.
You got to make decisions quickly, and you have to make them very well. You have to do
react
various
to
quests.
Emergencies. Everything's on fire. That kind of thing.
Pirates are coming. Like there's stuff going on. You have to react really fast. Hopefully they do a really good job of it. Because more fans of ANNO would be more cool. But yeah, it sounds really tough.
Conrad says StarCraft 64.
It's a good example.
Yeah. Maybe not. This one's from Tyler. Hey, Linus, what are your next plans for your smart home? I have been following your journey and using it to avoid issues you had or take ideas that worked well.
Well, one of the things I really need to figure out is what switches. Innovelli is apparently still working on their motion sensing switch, so hopefully that'll come sometime in the new year and I can replace those GE Jasco ones. Jasco did ultimately do the right thing and release firmware updates, but I'm still having a lot of just general bugginess with them. So I would like to just wholesale replace them at this point. And Innovelli's new upcoming switch uses millimeter wave for presence detection, which is apparently a lot more accurate than motion sensing. So with that swap out done, I think that the next goal would be motion sensing and timed light intensity throughout the house, because right now it's like it's cool to walk around and all futuristic, like lights just magically turn on as you're walking around the house, but the brightness is almost never correct, so you end up touching the light switch a lot anyway, and it would be really nice to be able to schedule that kind of stuff. I'd say that's the next big one. Also, I still have not even touched those Ecobees that are alongside the American standard thermostats in all the locations. So I'm going to need to figure out, now that it's getting chilly for the winter, how to make sure that the heat and the cool are not fighting with each other. So that's going to be a project for Jake, realistically. But I will have to assign it to Jake, so that's my role.
Someone pointed out you can plug in keyboard and mouse to consoles these days. I don't know how many people do that. I suspect it's
that'd
very
be really
uncommon.
interesting. I'd be really interested to know how.
Yeah, it sounds like a good video for your new gaming channel. Maybe not.
How do you poll those people though? Because it's not going to be like putting up a poll on Floatplane Chat is not going to accurately answer that question at all.
Now that we know that 15% of them lie.
Yeah, but even then, like you're pulling the wrong group of people. You'd need a wider group of non-technical people to get a more accurate answer on how many people are going to plug in keyboard and mouse.
Dang! Zing! Wow!
What?
Did you just call console people non-technical people?
No.
Hot take, Luke.
I didn't. I was saying that we have a concentrated audience of technical people here, and
and to find out how people game on console, you'd have to ask non-technical people.
To find out how people game on computers, you'd have to do the same thing. Because if you pulled the floatplane audience if you pulled the floatplane audience,
no, you're canceled.
If you honestly, console players are probably less technical than computer players. That just wasn't my point.
He did it again.
We did it as a
second time.
As a sound
This isn't my point.
Linus,
why do you hate console gamers?
If you wanted to figure out the resolution of monitors that people had on Steam and you pulled the floatplane audience, it's going to be wrong. Because you'd have to find...
The delays... No, the delay's over. Chat's exploding. They do not
to find the average Steam user, which is not the average person in floatplane chat. It's a problem. The sample size is wrong.
And you're also saying that they have lower IQs as well?
Oh my goodness.
Luke, how could you?
Luke. Oh. And they're ugly? Luke, you gotta stop texting me this stuff off the show. You can't. You're just adding fuel to this fire.
I can't.
And their mums are ugly. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if they're ugly, their mums are probably ugly. Like
it's got to come from somewhere.
Shall we move on before this becomes an issue? We don't want to be trending on Twitter again.
Yeah.
This one's from Ian. Good evening, guys. Love the channel and all you do. My wife and I are expecting our first. Can't wait to play Space Kids in DOSBox with a little one in my lap, just like my dad did with me. What gaming memories do you have and want to share or recreate with your own kids?
You know what? I actually went through this pretty recently. There's this, I think it's called PCM. It's a PC emulator, and it allows you to actually emulate like a Windows 95, Windows 98, older era CPU on a modern computer. And it's one of the only ways to play old like point and click adventure games from that time. And one of the games that my kids actually had a blast playing is called Mixed Up Mother Goose. And game experiences like that simply do not exist anymore. I think they're just kind of considered too low-fi for today. And it was really cool seeing them play and enjoy the exact games that, you know, I was playing back in like 1993 or whatever, back when that came out. There's actually a lot of those kinds of games. That was how at least two of my siblings learned to read, was these interactive computer like books. The George Shrinks was one of the ones that we had, and there's a paper copy of it obviously, but we also had the digital one that would read it to you, and you could kind of interact with the illustrations on the pages. Yeah, I think that's one that I was able to successfully share and recreate, but I think that, you know, in line with what we were talking about earlier on the show, that may not be an option for kids that are growing up today. Their gaming experiences might be not irretrievable.
Yeah, I mean, what gaming memories do you have? Something that I really deeply enjoyed was Morrowind. I talked about Morrowind a lot, I know. Morrowind was a game that my dad and I played a lot. No one else, like my brother didn't really care. He wasn't that into it. But my dad and I played a bunch. And I've told the story before about how I didn't realize that I had never actually started the main quest until we had never bought a player's guide before. But the internet was in its infancy still a little bit.
Player's guides were expensive, man.
And they were expensive.
I never bought one.
And it's still the only game I've ever bought one for. But I don't know what really compelled us to do it. But at one point we were just like, there's clearly a lot to this game. We're clearly missing a ton. Let's check out a player's guide. And we did, and we got one. And then immediately figured out that there was a main quest. And we just had no idea it existed because you could sell the item that started the main quest. So I just sell it every time. I don't need this thing. And that turned into my dad and I like playing Morrowind co-op style, where one of us would be piloting the character and we'd trade back and forth all the time. It wasn't like just me all the time or anything. One of us would be piloting the character and the other one would be reading from the player's guide and figuring out like, what should we go do next? And the player's guide was written in a really, really cool way. like it was genuinely really well written, where they would keep spoilers out of things and they would keep context and information at the end of what they were talking about. And they communicated that to you at the beginning of the player's guide. So they made it very clear that like there's gonna if you're looking at, like, you can use it in a way that if you see some cave or if you read through the player's guide and it's like, oh, there's a cave here and you didn't know that was there or something, you could use it to get you there, and then you could explore it on your own, and then you could check with the player's guide to make sure you got everything. So it tried to make it so that you were still exploring the world on your own, but you could use the player's guide to make sure that you weren't missing entire whole experiences, like the whole main quest. And my dad and I playing Morrowind is probably one of, if not genuinely, my favorite memory of gaming. But I'm not going to share that. If I had a child, I'm not going to share that with my child. It's not going to be the same way. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Let's have a look. This one's from Ryan. Hi, Linus. Did you test IOPS on the $1 million server? Also, will we ever be able to buy your blanks? I prefer plain tees, and quality ones are hard to find, especially in non-bland colors.
Well, now that I only shoot blanks, I'd say that it should be pretty easy to get one if you really want. Hey, sorry, I'm sure you meant
It's
blank
hard to
t-shirts.
procreate as a piece of cardboard, isn't it?
It is. It's challenging.
You do your best.
Could make paper babies. Yes, we do plan to make the blanks available. I think that our costs have actually gone up on t-shirts. We've stubbornly maintained them at $19.99 throughout all of the price increases that have gone on over the last 5 years. So what I think will happen is we will continue selling our printed tees at $19.99, but we are going to absorb some of that additional cost by also selling the blank tees at the same price, which I think is a perfectly good price for a quality shirt like the one that we have finally found and made. So it's going to not really yield any kind of savings for you, but yes, you will be able to buy a blank tee. And it'll just be all different colors. I think actually they're going to sell really, really well because they're great shirts, and not everybody wants like a tech picture or slogan on their shirt. So especially on weekends, actually, I often reach for my blank because I just don't want to walk around like and be even more recognizable than I was. So $19.99 is here to stay. Also, actually, I just realized we never addressed this. A lot of people asked if Floatplane is planning to increase pricing in light of, Netflix cracking down on multi-users, YouTube increasing pricing for premium. The answer is no. At our scale, we have not felt the need to do anything like that. And especially as long as the platform's growing, like that's one of the things that I actually addressed in the YouTube should charge for 4K video, is that the issue is that the proliferation of content has outpaced membership growth. But Floatplane has actually seen a huge surge in membership recently between the Call Me Chris collab, the really great behind the scenes content that we've been doing, the better image quality, and the fact that WAN show was missing for a few hours last week apparently drove about 500 of you to sign up for Floatplane, which is hilarious. Got to get that fix. But yeah. Floatplane is growing like crazy right now to the point where it's like, dang, why aren't there more creators on Floatplane? I don't understand it. It's like actually it's really good. But whatever. I can only lead the horse to water. I can't make it drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got another one here from Anonymous. How's daily driving the new AirPod Pros?
Oh, they're great. If anything, the active noise cancellation is too good. I used to be able to at least hear my kids if they really needed my attention. And now I just really can't when I just have them in noise canceling. So it's blissful, actually. And they're even better for sleeping than the old ones. I'm super happy with them so far. I hope they don't develop the same driver rattle that my previous 2 pairs of AirPods Pro ones did.
I mean, that's always a possibility, I guess. This one's from Lewis. My brother wants to know if you would consider making a cologne.
Yeah, we're going to call it Gamer Sweat. It's coming next year. I'm kidding. It's not happening, Luke. I see the look on your face.
Okay.
I'm disappointed, Linus.
I don't know. Like we could, but it's one of those. It always comes down to that question that I always talk about. What are we
What
contributing?
can you add?
Yeah. What value are we adding here? That are there not enough smells to choose from? Is there not enough toilet water in the world?
I mean, you could take that same approach to T-shirts and things like that. You know.
Well, no, I think our T-shirts actually have a reason for existing.
Yeah,
like
I do
like
guess
the commenter said, it's actually really hard to find a decent quality shirt that doesn't suck.
That's fair.
Yeah, I've
so,
been
like,
violently impressed with all of your merchandise. Yeah, there's me being a corpo shill, but no, it's surprising how good quality it is.
Well, the thing is that it's surprising how little it costs to make something good. Like you can make something crap for $6 and you can make something really good for $7.50.
And people
Like,
go
it
with
is
the $6
amazing.
option all the time. It's crazy.
It is amazing how often people choose the $6 option. It drives me crazy. It shouldn't be a business model that makes you stand out to spend the extra $1.50 to make it twice as good. Like, I just don't get it. But here we are.
Yeah, it's very strange. It makes me feel bad for having bought things before and then just being bad.
You should make
I would do a deodorant before I would do
I
would do cologne.
You should make gamified deodorant.
That'd be cool.
Like you have to wear it every day, or you like lose points,
Or somehow, yeah. So it has to, like, the lid has to come off every day or something.
Smart deodorant.
And if it doesn't,
They're just gonna bot that. You're not gonna win. Like RuneScape deodorant. Here's one from Daniel. Linus.
Anthony is suggesting scents for the cologne or deodorant. We've got new electronics, magic smoke, dusting day, chiller coolant, and RTX 2080 Ti foam, packing foam.
I want one that smells like exploded capacitors. You know, that burnt electronics smell.
boy.
Yeah, magic smoke.
Magic smoke smell. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely wear that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, make it as a joke. Linus, have you ever felt limited by not having a college degree related to tech?
What if you did?
I'm being interrupted.
What if you did, like a LTT store discount? If you actually, and we'd have to find some way to track it, and I don't necessarily know how, but you get like an LTT store discount or like a free full plane subscription or something. If you actually use the deodorant.
Are you talking about
We could track
IoT,
that.
Internet of Things deodorant?
So
Because the whole thing is just getting nerds to actually wear it. Because that's the problem, right?
No, that's easy because you would just make the deodorant a subscription. And if they cancel this, if they have the subscription, they're either using it or they are accumulating copious amounts of deodorant. And I know a lot of nerds and geeks, and I think that we're all about min-maxing, right?
Yeah.
Guys?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's min-maxing to accumulate piles of deodorant. So if you're gonna buy it, I think you'll use it. If you're gonna get it in the mail anyway. So that could work. We just have a subscription service for deodorant.
Oh, Conrad just said in the very bottom under all the paste, there's a generated discount code.
Genius.
Yes.
That's pretty good. Because you could be a butt and you could like cut it off. But that's loser mentality.
I don't think they will. Yeah, I don't think they will.
Yeah.
You could, and the completionist in them won't allow that shortcut.
Yeah, it's lame. You got to actually use it and get down to it. Oh, that's pretty sweet.
That's actually pretty good. We got to give Conrad like more creative time because these are some solid ideas here.
He comes up with good stuff.
Maybe we should have a brainstorming session like the end of every WAN show.
Yeah. Finding some way to incentivize actually using it, I think would be something that would bring something to the space, you know?
I would definitely call it like the gamer hygiene line of products.
Yeah.
We're going to try and take back that word.
Gamer, yeah. Make it a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to something recently. What was it? I don't remember. and it was someone who had gone to like a TwitchCon or something like that.
Ooh.
And they mentioned that they remembered a specific fan, and the fan was like, "Oh, why? Like, how do you remember me? I just like took a photo with you." And they were like, "Oh yeah, you didn't stink." It's like, man, come on.
Oh, that's hilarious. You know what? Whaleland, it wasn't bad.
Whaleland wasn't
Actually.
bad. Genuinely.
We did specifically call out on WAN Show that we were going to kick people out for
We
not
did.
wearing deodorant, though.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's something that we could bring to the space, and then yeah, cool.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'm sold. I'm sold. It took until we came up with the offer code at the bottom of the bar, but I'm actually pretty into it now.
That's sweet. Nice. Cool. All right. Next up.
Okay. I think this is our last merch message. This one's from Daniel. Linus, have you ever felt limited by not having a college degree related to tech? What would be your advice for a recent grad with a liberal arts or social science degree who find themselves more interested in tech?
Ooh. I wish I could give you your advice about that liberal arts degree 4 years ago.
Ooh.
Sorry, I don't mean to dunk on poor Daniel B here. Literally poor, because school debt.
Hey,
Um,
it's my name.
Hey, yeah, is this from you, Dan?
No, I can't afford to buy anything off of LTTStore.com.
Oh. Wow.
Not during work hours. No, it's
Yeah.
not me.
So, have I felt limited by not having a college degree related to tech? No, I haven't in any way. If anything, I'm pretty proud of getting to where I am without the degree. I don't think that there's anything wrong with getting a degree. I think that a lot of really smart people pursue the piece of paper, and it can totally be beneficial. My wife and I are actually just like classic one forked left, one forked right in the game of life cases, where she went hard at the degree and it worked out great, and I went hard at not the degree and it worked out great. I think the takeaway there is not that you should or shouldn't get a degree, or even that it matters what kind you got, liberal arts, IT, science, whatever. I think the takeaway is if you hustle and if you get a little bit lucky, you can succeed. And
If
the advice would be a sponge.
Yeah.
Learn lots. And I think that I talked about this a little bit recently when I was talking about my badminton coach, who could coach anyone he felt like and has no shortage of clients lining up to pay him, is be the most fun one to teach. Work so hard to learn from every mentor you can find with anything to teach you. That's the best feedback I can give you, because there's so much learning to be had out there for free just by being a sponge.
Yeah, and honestly, if the part of tech that you're interested in getting into, or if this is at least a possibility for you, is software development, there is an immense amount of ways that you can learn software development online without going to some form of formal secondary education or post-secondary education. So no problem. And lots of people will hire on your ability instead of your education in the software development space. Lots of people. So
yeah, I know you basically only look at portfolios. Hey, Luke?
When they're available. I would prefer to look at a
it's
portfolio.
not always an option.
A lot of people don't have them. A lot of people that have been working in the space for a long time won't have them because they've been working for companies and the companies aren't publishing their code. So yeah, but if you're starting from nowhere and you have a portfolio you can show to people, awesome. If you've contributed to open source projects so people can see it actually like working in the wild, that's huge. Just start making stuff and be able to show examples of stuff that you've made. When I'm looking for people to do development on websites and they can send me a thing that's like, here's the websites that I have made, and I go look at them and they're made well, it's a pretty good sign. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Conrad says, we've realized today there's a bug where some Shopify orders aren't having the merch message flag applied properly and thus not being submitted. We'll have it fixed for next week. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, well, that's a bummer. In fairness to Conrad, I think this is the first time we've had a game-breaking bug with merch messages. And if it's going to be fixed in a week, YouTube's Super Chats feature is literally still broken, Luke. I just checked it again. I saw a super chat come through earlier in the show, and I just clicked the viewer activity tab, and it isn't in there. So, yeah, Conrad let down the team this week, but in fairness, is orders of magnitude better than the entirety of Alphabet.
It's also like,
I guess. I guess
Good job,
I'll let
Conrad.
it slide.
it's also like a side project for Conrad. He does all of the work for LTTStore's like web development as well. And there was a pretty huge push to push the new theme, and then there's been reacting to feedback from the theme and all this type of stuff going on. So yeah, I'm sure he'll get to it.
Thanks, Conrad.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. All right. I think that's it for the show today. We will see you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye. And then, wait, no, we got to run the thing. I got it. Hold on. Oh, he's got it.
Okay.
Did you run the right one? You clicked it in the dashboard? No, you end the stream after the thing. Yeah. Was there no queue? Is that why? Right.